morning to the students of Standard 8. So we have studied third chapter, Constitution. Now we will see first how the British entered our India and ruled for 200 years. They ruled and how they entered India on the basis of trade. Our India was till 18th century. Our India was considered as the golden. Means many things were available like spices. So it was very necessary for the Arab people and for the Europeans to trade with us for the sake of spices, which was only most available in India. Now we will see that how did they enter India and how did they made their own policies, and how with the slow poison it is said that many policies were been introduced by them. In this chapter we are going to study there are two policies which affected the whole India. It was annexation policy, it was subsidiary alliance policy and Dalhousie policy, and how it affected we will see on the screen. So all must watch the video very clearly and you will understand it. So now all will see on this screen.
In this module, you will learn about Lord Wellesley. This is the city of Mirzapur. It was named so by the British after they captured the region from King Syed Shah Mirza. Since a major part of the city was established by the British, some places have been named after Englishmen. One such place in Mirzapur is Wellesley Ganj, which is named after Lord Wellesley. Lord Wellesley was the Governor General of India between 17...
So Lord Wellesley, he came first to India and he was the Governor General, and what policy was being made by him we can see here. He was between 1798 to 1805.
In 1898 and 1805. He took charge of his office from Sir John Shore, who had succeeded Lord Cornwallis. Lord Wellesley's main objective was the extension of trade relationships for the East India Company and expansion of the British Empire by acquiring as many princely states as possible. To do so, Wellesley introduced the
See now, it was Lord Wellesley who introduced subsidiary alliance, and with the help of this alliance, what was his policy? Further we will see.
Subsidiary alliance system. Under this system, an Indian ruler who became subsidiary alliance by signing the subsidiary treaty would be protected from his enemies. However, the ruler would have to keep the British army in his state. Also, for the maintenance of the army, the ruler had to either pay the maintenance amount or give some of his territory to the company.
See how it was. Subsidiary alliance, it was that many states, they were asked to keep their Britisher armies. If they are not available of armies, they said that they will give them armies to the Indians, and that armies, all expansion should be made by the king. If they are not going to give money in form of money, they should give in form of territories. So some states agreed to that, and it was necessary that they should ask the permission of the British if they want to make the use of the armies. And another thing of the subsidiary alliance was that they should keep the British officer in their kingdoms. So this was the agreement made with the people who agreed to this subsidiary alliance.
First Indian ruler to accept subsidiary alliance offered by Lord Wellesley was the Nizam of Hyderabad. He ceded the districts of Bellari, Kadapa, Anandpur and Kannur to the British. Thereafter, Wellesley compelled the Nawab of Oudh to enter into the subsidiary alliance. The Nawab gave the British half of his territories, including Rohilkhand, Gorakhpur, and territories between the rivers Ganges and Yamuna.
So here I will explain one by one. See,
later on, Peshwa Baji Rao II also.
Nizam of Hyderabad, how many territories were given by him? 4 territories. Then King of Awadh, he was asked to give his territory. Then he gave his 3/4 territory. And how Peshwa Baji Rao, and how they also were asked to join the subsidiary alliance.
So accepted the subsidiary alliance. The subsidiary alliance system was extremely advantageous to the British. They were now able to keep a large army at the expense of the Indian rulers. Moreover, the company was able to control the foreign policy of the Indian states and also prevent the French from influencing the states. This system not only helped the British gain supremacy in India, but also expand their empire in the country. While the subsidiary alliance was beneficial for the British, it was detrimental for the rulers and the people of India. The rulers who entered into this alliance lost their prestige and self-worth. Moreover, these rulers were not allowed to fight or sign treaties with any other power. Lastly, due to this system, the Indian rulers and the British ignored the well-being of the people. We have therefore seen how Lord Wellesley was able to expand the British territories in India through his subsidiary alliance system and
See how Lord Wellesley, you can see this map, how he was in position to get the supremacy all over this. Mysore, then Madras, Cochin, Trivandrum, Gujarat, then Delhi, then Rajputana means Rajasthan. First it was called Narmada, Bengal Presidency. So till Kashmir, from north to south and from east to west, how the many territories were captured by him.
It transformed the British Empire of India. You have now reached the end of this module. In this module, you learned that Lord Wellesley was the Governor General of India between 1798 and 1805. His main objective was the extension of trade relationships for the East India Company and expansion of the British Empire by acquiring as many princely states as possible. Lord Wellesley introduced the subsidiary alliance system. Under this system, an Indian ruler who accepted subsidiary alliance by signing the subsidiary treaty would be protected from his enemies. The ruler who entered into the subsidiary alliance would have to keep the British army in his state and would either pay amount for their maintenance or give some of his territory to the company. Some of the Indian rulers who entered into the subsidiary alliance were Nizam of Hyderabad, Nawab of Oudh, and Peshwa Baji Rao too. The Nizam of Hyderabad was the first Indian ruler to accept subsidiary alliance offered by Lord Wellesley. The subsidiary alliance was beneficial for the British, but it was detrimental for the rulers and the people of India.
See, subsidiary alliance was introduced by Lord Wellesley, but it was dead for the British. First they enjoyed this, but after it became a slow poison. So everything, whatever was explained, whatever was discussion was made in the king's court, it was being spread all over the British. The British came to know about the Indians. So this was a detrimental for the rulers of the people of India. And the first, it was the Nizam of Hyderabad, Nawab of Oudh, and Peshwa Baji Rao II. These came into the clutches of subsidiary alliance. See student, you have studied about expansion of policy. Now we are going to study about annexation policy of Dalhousie. What was it? You see, you are aware that India was divided into different kingdoms ruled by different rulers before the arrival of British. Before the British, many kings had their own provinces. Province means one part was there. Whole India was divided into different parts. Some were ruling Oudh, some were ruling Hyderabad. But when British arrived, how they step by step they took away the kingdom. But then they were ruling also. At that time also, many kings who were very strong, Maharashtra, Shivaji, then Junagadh, Hyderabad, still they were ruling on. So nothing was difference between them. Some parts were ruled by British. Now we are going to see. So see, during this period, different British officers were deputed as the Governor General and the Viceroy of India. For example, Lord Wellesley and Lord Dalhousie. These two leaders, they came to India and policy were being started. First, we have seen already Lord Wellesley, the policy of subsidiary alliance and how it was being effected to the kings and how our full king, whenever any speech was been done or anything was been there in the kingdom, it was a British officer who was there. They came to know and they used to give the message to the Britisher and Britisher came to know about the whole India. Now you see. See, Lord Dalhousie introduced a policy known as annexation policy of doctrine or lapse. Let us learn about Dalhousie policy and his policy as well as his reform module. And what was annexation policy and according to this what India had to do. Lord Dalhousie and these all are the doctrines of labs. It was being written on the documents and what was it and how they have to, India have to go according to this doctrine of lab. See, with the policy of subsidiary, king became careless in administrating the state as well as there was no fear of attack from the neighboring kings. See now, first subsidiary alliance, how it was? People became careless means what? The king, but because the armies were given by the British, only they have to pay money to them or they have to give territory. But according to them, there was no fear. They knew that if any king attacked them, it was the British army who took care of them. So this taking advantages of the situation, British in the name of restoring peace and administration started annexing the state. See, what did they do? See their mind, Britishers. They came to know now the king rulers are very, they have no fear and how advantage they took of that. See how different started annexing the state, how they started doctrine policy and how they annexed the states. This was done with the intention of occupying the state. For example, Satara, Jhansi, Nagpur taken over by the British. See, first Awadh was taken, Nizam of Hyderabad was taken, and after the different states like Satara, Jhansi and Nagpur were taken away by the British. Along with the main aim of supporting the British trader and making them wealthy, Lord Dalhousie promoted the export of Indian goods like tea, coffee and cotton. See, supporting the British trader and making them wealthy, Lord Dalhousie promoted the export of Indian goods like tea, coffee and cotton. See, some of the traders, they were given some good amount to them and how they made the export of Indian goods. Goods was being prepared in India. This everything was done in coffee, tea and cotton was grown in India. But how the British took away this trade and they were trading in the eastern countries of Asia and all over the world. To enable easy access and export and transport railway line was made between Mumbai and Thane. See how for the development, how to take away the raw materials like cotton, to take the spices, what they do. First they made a railway line. It was during Dalhousie that railway line was being made between Mumbai and Thane in 1853. This was for the development of them to make trade. How did they make? At least they have to reach to Mumbai and then to take them they took it by ship, by the water transport. Dalhousie also passed the laws to ban child marriage and promoted the widow's remarriage. See, one or two good deeds were done by them. This was done. Ban means nikah dena. This was done on saying of Rajaram Mohan Roy, who asked him that our Hindu, in Hindu it was that widow remarriages, when the marriages of the child was done very at the young age, after the widow, they used to, widow means what? If their husband died, that is called widow. So they have to live their whole life without marriage. So this was being introduced by them. Child marriages. Before it was that during very small ages the marriages were being done. So this was being banned. So this some good was some good things were done by the Dalhousie. See, and marriages were done by them. He established universities to spread English language in Mumbai, Chennai and Kolkata in 1857. Again, one was that because it was difficult for the Britisher to communicate with Indians because they did not know any language. So, it was because of this many English universities were opened in big cities like Mumbai, Chennai and Kolkata, that they can educate Indians in English and they can understand their language and they can go further. So now we will see. So what happened is, the dissatisfaction and anger were clearly seen in the revolt of 1856, which was the beginning of the freedom struggle. You see, now there was, because the Indians did not want to learn English, they came to know, they thought that we will not have our own religion, we have to study the English religion. So we will see how it was. It was more differences, that Indian soldiers were given less wages and it was the Britisher who were given the high wages. So this was divide and rule system was made, and revolt of 1857, it was that Muslim and Hindu, that their points of the guns were greased with cow's flesh and it was with pig flesh. Muslims and both Hindus, they did not like this, and it was the Mangal Pandey who came to know that he was the first person that who revolted against this, and he killed even the English officer in this, and how from this our freedom started. Thus the reform of Dalhousie was very helpful in achieving India freedom. So Dalhousie was there. Even press, communication started, but it was actually British started this for their welfare, but it became the welfare for the India. Press, which held that different leaders living in different part of the state, Maharashtra, then Karnataka, because they came to know the news with the help of the news in the press. Then communication, which made them to know that how to communicate, that leaders they communicated each, and this was for the welfare of the, it became the welfare of the people. See now, point by point we can see that India was ruled by different kings before the British rule and independence. India was ruled by different kings. Before British, there were all different parts. Some even in the states also. Some parts of the village were ruled by other king and different. Lord Wellesley introduced policy of subsidiary alliance. Subsidiary alliance, what it did, the British army was to deploy in the kingdom to secure safety of attack from neighboring states, but expenses were to be borne by the kings. They gave the army, but all kharcha jo hum bolte expansions got to be given by the kings. Then Lord Dalhousie was the Governor General of India between these years, and he introduced doctrine of lapse or annexation policy, we can say. Annexation of policy. According to this policy, a state of Hindu was taken over by the British government in case the king dies without leaving a harem. See now, King of Hyderabad, Nizam, then Awadh, then many this state, Jhansi, who did not have their own child, male child, they have to annex, they have to surrender their state to the British because they did not have any hire. Hire means kya? Beta, male child who will not have. So they have to give away their state to the Britishers. Reforms of Lord Dalhousie. He laid a railway line between Mumbai and Thane. I explained it was for them to carry the raw material, and then they took England by the water transport, and finished goods were being done in their own states. In their industrial was developed in UK by these people. Then introduced postal service, post services to send the letters, to send the messages, telegraph system, and law of child marriages, encouraged widow remarriages, established university, Mumbai, Chennai and Kolkata to introduce English language. So these are recap points. When you see the video, you copy down in your notes. So it is very important for you. So this lesson ends with here, but if you are having textbook, PDF is given, you read the lesson, you will come to know that how did they become the trader, how the traders entered to India, and how they expanded the different states and captured, and policies were being introduced. And first it was the Indians, there was no unity in Indian, but after this Dalhousie policy, Indian came to know that it is the British people, they are not welfare for us, it is the welfare for them, because many peasants who were asked to grow cotton and not food grains, which was very difficult, how they can live without the food grain. So cotton they would carry on the low expansion, low money, and then finished goods were sold at the high price. So this was very difficult. It became for the even peasant, means poor farmers. It was being even the military people, what different wages were given for Indians and for the British army. So it was very different. So the people were affected by this. Many peasants lose their land, and landlord who gave first them loans. So this was being stopped by the Britisher, because taxes, landlord had to pay the taxes to the Britisher, so they could not give loans to the poor farmers. So it was very difficult for them to face, and this gave a cause for the freedom of India. So thank you.